Hi, it's Norman Koshnik here. We've gone live on Eyes on Cricket with Norman Koshnik, and Pretty Apala's here with the Pretty Effect. Namaste.
Okay.
Now, normally, guys, we've just finished a test series. We wouldn't necessarily do a live at this time. We would probably have a host of guests talking about the breakdown of the match. We did a very comprehensive effort yesterday about that very thing. But what I'm going to do tonight is, because there's been a few releases that have occurred, mainly the so-called IPL schedule has been properly announced with some, I wouldn't say shocks, but there's some interesting developments there in regards to where people are in terms of teams, and where some are not playing at home, some are playing away. Now, obviously, COVID's got a lot to do with that, and it's unfortunate, but it will affect certain sides more than others. So I guess that's a relevant point to bring up. And look, and I'm sure you're used to us now coming on this time, as I am. And I think I'm going to try and make a point of having lives around the 10:30, which is 10:30 my time, which is 5 o'clock Indian time, to 6 o'clock Indian time, somewhere in that range. We'll still continue to have live, because I think I'd like to have you come and listen to us and know that we're there for you. We're there for you. We're there to support you. Deep Barrow was commenting to me on Instagram, not Instagram, on Twitter. I said, Deep, come over to here. I'll talk to you here. I haven't got time to talk to you on Twitter now. You've got to come over. So he came over. We've got official Sai back. We've got Amit Shrivastava. Hello, pretty. Looks so beautiful. Why do you say I look so beautiful, Amit? That's not very nice. Music Harmony's back as well.
You're so funny.
Due to incompetence of England batters, we're going to talk about that test series, Music Harmony, but a little bit. We're not going to overdo it on that, because we've done a fair bit. We're going to be talking about the IPL very briefly, about the test, and we're even going to throw some women's cricket in there too, because South Africa and India played today, and unfortunately India were thumped, and there's some selection issues in that Indian side that make me wonder what's going on as well, because I'm a bit disturbed with the Indian team, and it's reflected in the results. India are normally a better side than South Africa, but India, South Africa lost only maybe 2 wickets on their way to knocking off India's score in the 40th over, which is quite an outstanding situation. So I'm not sure. We're meant to be having Garga Wonka as well. She's meant to be coming on board, who has had a lot of high-level Indian cricket. You may have seen on some of the earlier shows. Fantastic young lady. But I will start with the INDvsSA, and I'll just go through the announcement that we've received. So INDvsSA has announced, in fact, here's Gargi right now.
Hi, Norman.
We'll wait for her to come on. Can you see her? I can't see her. She's
loading.
She's loading. She's in a hotel room.
Am I audible?
Oh, hello.
Yes, you are.
Hello, hi, Pretty. How are you?
Hi, namaste, Gargi. How are you?
Namaste, hi.
Did you say? I thought you were talking to me then. Didn't you say hi, Pretty? I mean, I'm pretty. You meant pretty. You meant pretty. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize what you were talking about. So, what's your Twitter handle? @Garg. What's your Twitter handle?
Actually, I'm not on Twitter. This is my Instagram handle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And what is it? GAGI? I can't read it. What does it say?
Yeah, it's the same as my name. It's Gargi Vankar.
Oh, okay. Good. So we know what it is. So, all right. So it's your so-called Instagram. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to get you on Twitter at some stage.
Yes.
Won't we? Yes.
Yeah, sure.
All right, we'll do that for sure, Gargi. So thanks for joining us, Gargi. I was just talking about 3 things. I just began talking a little bit about the BCCI announcement about the so-called Vivo IPL 2021 schedule. And there's some teams that are not playing in their home locations. We'll go through that a bit more. Have you girls got those schedules next to you? Have you got the ability to look at them?
I briefly had a look.
Okay. All right. So, and we're going to talk also about the test match that I think India won. Did India win? I'm not sure. Did India win the match? I'm not sure.
The whole world knows. It was trending #1.
Oh, really? I had no idea. I must have missed it. I must have been washing my hair or something. No, of course I know what the score. All right. And then we'll talk about the women's match that's the women's cricket, as in the representative team of India, who got smashed. Gargi, what happened? My gosh. Lisa
I
Lee
know,
got,
I guess. Yeah, they were playing almost after 12 months. And I mean, we could see that, but I'm rooting that we'll make a strong comeback.
Yes.
And yeah,
yeah, but I think that was a bit of a shock. That you can't blame not playing much, because India, South Africa haven't played that much either. In a similar boat, they've had to travel across here as well. But South Africa have been training probably a little bit more freely, I'd say. I'm getting. Okay, so we'll go back
Yep.
to the IPL announcement. So the IPL governing council, I'm not going to be reading a bit of this. The IPL governing council on Sunday, which is today, announced the schedule for the Vivo Indian Premier League 2021 to be held in India after nearly 2 years. So, of course, the previous IPL was held in UAE, wasn't it? In Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, and Dubai. And I in fact didn't call it the IPL. I called it the Dubai DBL, because effectively it wasn't an IPL, it wasn't in India, so it couldn't be called that. So, and after nearly, so the extravaganza will return home with Ahmedabad, Bangalore, of course, Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, Mumbai, and Kolkata hosting the marquee events. Now, it's interesting though, the season will kickstart on the 9th of April, which is a little bit later, in Chennai, with a high-octane clash between defending champions Mumbai Indians and Royal Challengers Bangalore. So the world's largest cricket stadium, Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad, will host the playoffs, which is quite a difference, and as well as the final on the 30th of May 2020. So it's effectively going from the 9th of April to the 30th of May 2022, 21. 30th of May 2021. I can't get that off my tongue. 30th of May 2021. Okay. Which promises to be a visual spectacle. And I've actually been to an opening ceremonies in the stadium in Kolkata. What's it called again? It's not Eden Gardens. There's an even bigger stadium. It's a soccer stadium in Kolkata. What's it called again? Do you know, Gargi?
no idea.
There's a big stadium. It'll come to me. It's got a rather unusual name, but it's a well-known stadium there which hosts soccer. I went to the opening ceremonies there, and it was spectacular. How come you guys don't know that stadium? I thought you would know that.
I just know Eden Gardens.
Yeah, there is. I know that's the cricket stadium. There's a soccer stadium
Soccer stadium.
I'm just going to Google soccer. I should know this because I've actually been there. There's a soccer stadium in Kolkata. It'll have to come up because it's bigger than it's big. It's probably the. Let me have a look here. Of course, Salt Lake Stadium.
Ooh, okay, I like this. Nice name.
Yeah, so it holds. I'm not sure the exact amount, but it holds a mammoth amount of. Let me have a look at it. It actually holds. Well, Eden Gardens holds 66,000, but the stadium there is actually it's well over 100,000. It's probably close to 110 or 20,000. So this is Salt Lake Stadium. Sounds like America, doesn't it? But in fact, it's India. And that's where they had an opening ceremony for the IPL. It would have been, oh my gosh, probably 5 or 6 years ago. And I was whisked away by Debashis and Kuntal and Buria off to this ground, not knowing where I was going, thinking I'm going to Eden Gardens, went to the ground there called Salt Lake Stadium. And lo and behold, it was massive and everything was dark. And it was raining and it was spectacular. Bollywood dancers and singers and actors. It was quite amazing, actually. So, yeah, they're pretty good spectacles. I'm sure with Ahmedabad, the ground there is obviously very big as well. So,
Yes.
So on top of that, the newly built stadium that hosted the second pink ball, this will again be available for the IPL, which is great news. So each team is set to play 4 venues during the league stage. Out of the 56 league matches, Chennai, Mumbai, Kolkata, and Bangalore will host 10 matches each, with Ahmedabad and Delhi hosting the 8 matches each. So effectively, some of the IPL teams will not have home games, which is rather unusual, isn't it, Gargi? Because normally they have home matches. It's very important for the crowds, for the advantages you have for that. So they're not having that. So it says here that all matches will be played at neutral venues. No team will play at their home venue. In fact, it's saying no team, in fact. all teams will play at 4 out of 6 venues during the league stage. So it's even more dramatic than that. Is because certain teams can't play at home, they've decided no one will play at home.
Ah.
To try and be fair. And I guess that's a reasonable result. There'll be a total of 11 double headers. So they're playing teams games on the ground twice, where 6 teams will play 3 afternoon matches and 2 teams will play 2 afternoon matches. So the afternoon matches will be around 3:30. So the fact is that this is quite a change. They're actually having no home grounds. They're playing double headers. Because Gargi, have they played double headers before? They played 2 IPLs after each other on the one ground? I don't think they have. Have they? Do you know?
No, I'm not aware about this.
But I don't think they have. So
Okay.
So the fixtures of the tournament have been mapped in a way that every team will travel only 3 times, still travelling, and during the league stage, thus reducing the amount of commuting and the problems that occur with COVID. So it looks as though they've done a reasonable job at that, but no home games. It's rather disappointing for the crowds. But then again, if they're lucky enough to have crowds, is the other issue, isn't it? Because we've been lucky. In fact, I noticed in INDvENG, the crowds were meant to be half. That's 50-odd thousand. They didn't look like 50-odd thousand. The ground didn't look half full, did it?
They might have been spread out.
Yeah,
up, down, everywhere.
But there were too many sizable gaps for it to really be half full, in my opinion. So I think that's probably more the case. So there we have it. So we have that schedule. The schedule is out. I think I've posted it on my community page, but it starts again on the 4th of, I'll just confirm that, on the so-called, what's the date? It starts on the 4th of April and goes through to the 30th of May.
I thought it was the 9th of April.
Was it 9th? I'm sure. I thought I saw 4th.
Yeah, it's 9th.
Yeah.
My mistake. I'm having problems. Only glasses. It actually wasn't 9. But if you look at a 9 and a 4, what's the difference? A little bit of a dot here. So
just one point, and maybe Gargi can let me know if this might be the case. You know, Kolkata, West Bengal is having elections. Do you think the elections are the reason why they have decided not to have any games there, because it's too distracting? They obviously don't want any issues. Possibly, right?
Yeah, might be, but it is one of the venues, right? Is it? Or is it not?
I think it is.
It is.
You're saying West Bengal, you're talking about Kolkata, aren't you?
There's no games being played in Kolkata, right?
There is.
Okay.
Yeah, it is one of the 6 venues.
No. Okay.
Kolkata is one of the 6 venues.
I was told Kolkata, this is by Debash, this time Kolkata were not playing at home. In fact, it's all teams not playing at home. So, in fact, the Kolkata, the team, will not play at Kolkata, which kind of makes you wonder a little bit. Okay. So the IPL is a tournament that certainly has, now Chris would normally be our gun expert on the IPL. All I'm doing today is just talking about the schedule, being from the 9th of April, as I've been corrected, to the 30th of May. The fact that no venues will be for home locations. There are certain venues, a lot of the finals we played at INDvENG, which is important. And yes, I think it was official side. We need someone who talked about IPL. We certainly do have. We'll have Chris online as well. So we're not talking about the in-depths of the breakdown to the players, but we're talking about the venues. And that schedule is worth having a look at if you haven't seen it already. It was released today. Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So that's one aspect of tonight's discussion that I had to get out of the way. The other point is, so there are 10 games we played in Kolkata. Jaman was saying, but it won't be Kolkata by looks of things, which is rather unusual. So the reality is now we've had the IPL discussion. We're now going to talk about the test briefly before we get to the women's cricket. Now with the test, Ravi Shastri has just released a press conference, and he did start to talk about not the word rotation, but he said there are players such as Washington Sundar, Natarajan, there are a few other players in this like Thakur that would not have got an opportunity to play test cricket, and they have, because they've been a part of the squad and haven't had to be called in. So it is a form of rotation inadvertently, because they've got not 16, 17, 18 players, they've got 30 players. So it's rather unusual. It's actually very good for someone who's the 30th player. They could effectively play a test match.
Yes.
Whereas previously a 30th player would have no hope of playing a test match. So that's the benefit of the whole process. So, and Deep Barrow's making a comment about, wow, I'm drunk. Yes, well, Ravi Shastri was actually asked the question about why do people always comment about his drinking? And he said, and he was great about it. He just said, well, let him talk about it.
I love it.
Obviously, they've got the problem, not him, because quite frankly, Ravi Shastri conducts himself beautifully.
Yes.
At any meeting, on any commentary box, he's been nothing but exemplary. If he does drink or not, which I have no clue about, it's irrelevant.
Yes.
I mean, I eat excessively. Does that make me stop talking? No.
No.
So I don't know what that's. I mean, I can have a biscuit. I can have a biscuit right now. I've got some biscuits here, but I shouldn't, should I? Put that down. It's funny how that was in arm's length, that biscuit. Did you notice that? No. All right. You're supposed to laugh then, girls. I was making a joke.
You're so funny, Norman.
Gargi, you have to learn to laugh and go, like.
Okay.
Just fake it, Gargi. Just fake it.
Just and start holding your chest.
Okay, I'll have to learn that.
Or do like Chris.
Yeah. Well, Chris is that's more of a sarcastic one. Anyway, he's got his mother's birthday today, so he's not here for that reason.
Such a mommy's boy.
I'm sure he's watching.
Such a mama's boy.
No, don't say that. That's not nice.
No, I'm just being. Excuse me, Norman. You're not the only one who gets to be funny and crack jokes.
Oh, is that right now?
Yes, freedom of expression.
All right, I'm going to put you over here now. I'm going to be in the middle. That's better. Isn't it nice to be able to do this with the finger? But it's the way it should be, actually. I need to have. No, I can be anywhere I want, doesn't it? All right. So back to the test for a moment. Ravi Shastri talked heavily about what is basically form rotation. India are now got a rags to riches story with players. They've got so many to pick from. They've got an amazing depth. They won comprehensively by some 10 wickets and 25 runs. I did a report today about papers. The word smashed, dissected, embarrassed. There were some pretty heavy words used. And yes, England are like that. At least England put out a post to say that they congratulated India and they had the respect of doing that, which was quite a good thing. And England are generally very respectful when it comes to the way they handle a defeat. Okay. So Anshuman Gautam, who's actually the real Music Harmony, so he's got two accounts, is actually saying that Gargi's like Chris, that she never laughs. We have to change that very quickly. No. Can you see the messages, Gargi, on your side of your screen? Can you see the messages?
No.
You don't have to, but it's there. It's there somewhere. All right. So now,
okay, yes, I do, yeah.
Okay. All right. So with the test match, Pretty, what's your thoughts? Okay.
So I want to touch on a few points that we didn't quite cover in our previous discussions, especially even last night when we did this deep dive and deep discussion. We didn't touch on these, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to do that. Firstly, the two teams are not evenly matched. So I think the denial starts when you think that they were actually just as good as each other. I don't think that's the case. I think India was superior with the bat and the ball. That's just how it is. And I get a feeling that maybe the English team came over here thinking that they were more at par with the Indian counterparts. And that was the first folly, I think, because when they, as the game unfolded, I think they slowly realized that it's not quite the case. And, I'm sure the English fans it's the same thing. They probably thought that the two teams are just as good. And that's just not the case. I think with the depth or just the star players that we have, the capability, and of course the spin bowlers, it just doesn't add up. That was one thing. And then
but hang on, just quickly on that point. You're talking about in Indian conditions, though, because in English conditions, England certainly levels the playing field somewhat when they're playing at home.
Yes, one could say that. Or if these two played in Australia, for example, or so, but I'm just talking, like, forget about the conditions, just the quality of the batsmen and the quality of the bowlers. When you look at the two teams, when I look at the sheets, when I look at the Indian team, I see, look, I keep saying this, whether these people deliver or not is a different matter, but you just read, it's 1 to almost 10 are just star players, match winners, and legends, like people who've obviously performed incredibly well. You look at the English team, it's a lot of young, we have some new young stars too, but they've recently proven themselves. But English side, you got a couple of match winners, you got some people who need to be tested, still have to prove themselves. There's like mixed bag, I think, of results and performance. So that's something that because I kept hearing in the media, just people thinking that they were more evenly matched than they actually were. So that was a point that I wanted to make. Another point was, I don't think people are understanding this. This test series has done a real psychological number on this English squad. And I don't even think that they realize it's really taken a lot out of them on, emotionally and sort of on just a very deep, energetic level. And that's not good, because I just felt like they had a defeatist mentality almost after that first test, sort of, right? The first test they did great, but after that it sort of, they never corrected it. And I think they lost the match actually in their minds in a way, because everything else there's a lot of variables out there in cricket. And remember, they won 3 out of 4 tosses in India, which is like half the job done, one would say. And 2 of the pitches were actually perfect for them. But despite all of that, you get the result that we did. So I think this sort of psychological defeat aspect wasn't, it's important. I think this rotation business, I don't think it works for them, because I don't think you get the combinations. And I feel like they systematically rotate players, like whether that player needs to be rotated or not. It seems like it's just like a pipeline thing, just do it at the, sort of sporadically or periodically, I should say. And I don't think it's quite worked for them, to be honest. Clearly, the results again speak for themselves, right? Because I just don't think that performance was there. So they lost it, I think, more psychologically and mentally. And I have a feeling that if this is going to carry on to the ODIs and the T20s, I don't see them sweeping either of those. I think they will lose both. And by the end of this India tour, they will go back home very wary, very tired, with a big loss of like a lot, just a big loss, I think. And they're going to have to go back home and I think do a lot of sort of introspection. That's my honest feeling. Just noticing when you listen to their press conferences, and you can hear it in their tone, in their choice of words, how the body language, how they're carrying themselves, and you compare that with the Indian team, it's almost the opposite. So as a somebody,
just quickly on that point though, Owen Morgan has arrived. Now he's going to captain the team. I don't know whether you can say conclusively they're going to be, the word frazzled minds and torture techniques has been used. They're going to be a sufficient enough number of players at a senior level on the team. They're going to be captain the side. So I don't know whether it's that conclusive to talk. If the same squad was continuing, I would agree with you. A lot, like Pujara is not going to be there from Indian perspective. From an England perspective, a lot of the batters will probably not be there. So I think that you'll find that the so-called mental component is going to be relatively well taken care of regarding the new captaincy and new spine of the team. So even though it has disturbed the test season and they're very with it there, you'll find that they'll be not as bad as you may think so conclusively. And they're aware of what you're saying totally, and they won't allow that to be the case. Owen Morgan's the classic. Owen Morgan is an extremely positive captain, a very successful captain.
Yes.
So you might find a difference there. But anyway, sorry.
Well, depends how many players from the test team will be playing in these two formats, right? If
It'll
it's
be quite
50-50,
different. That'll be quite different.
Then it's fine, I guess. Yeah, but I think I wasn't talking about sort of so much moving forward, but I think so far, like thus far, what I've
Right.
seen in the just looking at just commenting on the 4 tests that have passed. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Still good points. Still good points. The reality is India has gone through the biggest tests regarding both Australia and England so closely after that. The 2 top teams, unfortunately, now have been given a bit of a pasting, and reality is India are now number 1 on the test list, with New Zealand being their one stumbling block. And look, Chris Berman has said about the New Zealand bowlers, and he's right. New Zealand just beat Australia in the 5th match of the 5 Test series, the 5 T20 series, and they absolutely smacked us. Martin Guptill got 70 odd, and and they looked particularly strong. They actually coasted past our score, and they made a fool of us. So New Zealand are a lot better than we realised, and there need to be India won't win easily. You'd hope they will win, but it's going to be intriguing. But New Zealand have a bad habit of losing finals. They get to finals, well, choking, or they went so damn close to beating England last time in that World Cup. Oh my God!
Yeah, some would say it was stolen from them.
Well, I was there that day. I couldn't work out what happened. It was quite bizarre.
Yeah, it was something.
Honestly,
they weren't meant to win it. Let's just put it that way. Yeah.
Honestly, New Zealand played better on the day.
They did, and they played with heart. And until the last over, I really, in my heart, I thought they were gonna win. It was so they had it, and they lost it. I felt like they deserved it. They should have won it. They didn't cross that finish line, I guess. And then all the super over and the new rules that we've never heard of, new situations we've never come across. There's something not kosher, to be honest, about that final. A lot of, you listen to Billy Bowden, you listen to a lot of these former umpires. They commented quite extensively, actually, in Australian and New Zealand media. I got a chance to read it, and a lot of people didn't think it was quite that as fair or as clean as could be, which is a shame.
The last, I'm trying to think back now. England wins the World Cup in England. Australia wins the World Cup in Australia. India win the World Cup in India. It's rather convenient. It doesn't mean it's not possible. It is very possible, but it's very interesting. All right. There's some good points there. But, I mean, ultimately, this whole, and I'm not going to use the word rotation, it's going to be, I believe it's an increased squad.
Yes.
Of players. And hence, they've got 30 players. Gargi, what's your situation? You're playing at the moment. How many people in your squad?
Actually, we have got 22 in our squad.
Which is enormous, really.
Yeah.
Because that's...
Mostly it is only 15 or 17. So this time around 22 players are getting a chance. So it's a good thing as well.
Yeah, and that's also because of the fact that you can't bring people in last minute because effectively you've got that squad. So it's even happening at a state level as well, which is interesting. Anything else you wanted to talk about? Pretty? About the test?
Yeah, I was curious, actually. I want to ask you what your thoughts, because there's been so much talk about this pitch. I mean, we could, touch on it a little bit before we finally put it to bed. Firstly, both teams had the same pitch, whatever the condition of the pitch was. Both team get 20 wickets. They both have 11 players. You get 5 days. You do it. Now, I guess my question, and look, hey, if it's good for the ICC, it's good for cricket. It's good for the Test series. I don't think people should be commenting. Armchair experts shouldn't be commenting on, oh, this is not good enough, or so on. But I guess my question is, when you turn the tables, when India goes to England and they're going to roll out golf courses, do we have a do we get the right to also say it's unfair, or this is, I mean, we wouldn't say it's not up to standard, but that's the opposite of what India would be used to, right? So for them, that's it's completely disadvantaged, and it's not something they're used to, and the home team is just curating what is perfect for them.
Are
But
you talking jokingly when you say golf courses? You mean green tops? Is that what you mean?
yeah, joking, but you know what I mean. I mean,
Yeah.
so um, yeah, I mean, where does I know that the Indian team has never complained. I don't think anyone has complained. But after this incident, I mean, what's your view on that? I mean, it's the exact opposite situation. But then I don't think India would complain. That's not the kind of team that they are. But it does make one wonder. So much has been spoken about this, saying it's not fair. But then when we go over there, the same thing is going to roll out, and yet nobody's going to say that that's not fair.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's honestly, and I'm not knocking what you just said. I couldn't care less about the wickets. And I think the world of cricket is getting very similar. They're getting very thick-skinned to this because it is a useless conversation, because we can talk forever about every single country, and each country has grass, spin, whatever. It's bad luck. If both teams are playing that surface, you get prepared. Australia have gone out of their way with their so-called high performance centres. They actually create Indian pitches.
Nice.
And it may be laughable, but no, we actually do have that. There's somebody called Kane Williamson who's I'm telling you now, Kane, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, mate. We're not going to accept your continual he's putting rubbish on there. It's a bit annoying. Okay. So let's the reality is that you've got to prepare for it.
Yeah. So
the problem is that India do not allow players to come and play on their Ranji Trophy grounds or play on that level, which is probably cheeky of them, but it's quite frankly probably not right. We should allow more cross-pollination of players to get used to conditions. I think that's a fair point. Everyone goes running off to England to play in the county championship like Pujara. And if they do that, well, India should be doing the same thing. Australia doesn't have a problem with it either, I don't think. So it should be more common. And it's good for cricket. So I think that's the way of addressing this problem. If you can come and play, practice on the wickets and play for teams at a state level or county level, well, then that's no longer going to be discussion. So not liking what you're saying, but
But I agree with you. Your point. My sentiment is exactly the same as yours. Every country has its own condition. My point is, there was so much criticism on this. It was unnecessary and not in good faith, because they don't do it anywhere else, but they did it here. And I just thought it was a bit kind of double standards, But it is what it is. Look, it's done now. India luckily ended up winning. Now, if it didn't win, it would be like a double whammy. You got criticized and you lost as well. That would suck. But
okay. I don't think that's a problem. I get your point. That's a very good point. All right. Now, Gargi, do you want to talk about this match? And I really have a lot of concern, as Buri Majumdar did, and the likes of the people on Crick Zone, the Women's Crick Zone. They're good friends of mine. I've worked with them before. The reality is the Indian team, Mithali Raj, now she's been a great player for a long time. She even got 50 in this match. But I'm confused. I think she has to understand it's probably time that she hands the baton over to somebody else. And I mean that quite sincerely. I'm not knocking Mithali Raj, but I do think that she's kept on that position too long, and it's not allowing the growth. You've got the likes of Goswami, who did take wickets today, but I think they need to start to consider that it's a bit like Tendulkar playing to 45, or Zahir Khan bowling to 45. Great players, but they've got to know their time. And I think I'm a bit confused. There's been a lot of comment with the Indian team. A lot of the good young players are not there. Like Tanya Bhatia. Where is Tanya Bhatia? I think we've talked about this already. The keeper is Sushma Verman, who's not a bad keeper. I'm not knocking her, but Tanya Bhatia has done nothing wrong. I don't quite understand the selection of the Indian team. It's caused instability, or what's the word for it? It's destabilised the team. Hence, they scored 177 after 50 overs, and South Africa were effectively 2 down, passing that score, with only lost their first wicket. Well and truly, was the first wicket fell at 169. They virtually had 9 runs to get this score. That means it would have been none down. Now that, honestly, is not what you would have expected. India are probably a more dominant side than South Africa, you would argue, generally. And you can blame conditions and frequency of play. But I watched the match and I thought that India were very jaded when it came to their bowling, and South Africa were all over them. And it was quite a shock how easily they were beaten. But it made us see how our fears were correct. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, South African team just outshined India in all the departments, I would say, like whether it is batting, bowling, or fielding. Uh, I feel hopefully India finds their rhythm back. Some players played well, like batting. Some players they were looking in a good touch. They gave a good start, but they couldn't carry it on. So
Well, yeah.
hopefully they'll make a good comeback in the coming matches. There are 4 left, and I'm rooting for them. Yeah.
For example, Dipti Sharma to me should be opening the batting.
Okay.
Smriti Mandana perhaps could open with it. Jamal Roberts should go at first drop. They didn't have that. They've almost got 4 opening batters in the batting lineup, haven't they?
Yeah.
Quinn Rolls, she's an opener, isn't she?
Yeah.
Dipti Sharma certainly has been an opener. Rogers and Smriti Mandana, they're all 4 so-called openers. Something's wrong there when you've got 4 openers in the team. There's some selection issues, I think. The captaincy issue. Now, Harmanpreet Kaur did very well. Mithali Raj, I'm not knocking her. Her captaincy's been good throughout her career. But I think there's something not right there. I don't think the synergy between, when you look at the game closely and the decision-making processes, there are almost 2 captains out there. And they're running around like chooks without a head. It's almost as if they wanted to lose. Their feeling was pretty ordinary, and hence the score, none for 169. And Lisa Lee and Vulvas, they're good batters, but I don't think they're that good, in my opinion. They are good, but they're not that good. I think they cruised to victory 10 overs before the end in what would have to be called a thumping. And it's the first match. Yes, you could say they might do a men's where they might come back for the second and third matches or fourth, but it's not a good sign. What's happened to Tanya Bhatia? Do you have any idea?
Actually, the keeper was Sushma Verma, so I guess she was picked because of her performances in women's IPL challenge. She had a couple of scores and match-winning scores, so I guess she was picked because of that. She was given a chance, and a new keeper is also in the squad who is given a chance.
Yeah, like who? Who are the new players? Who have we got there? Monica Patel?
Yeah, there are many new faces in the squad. You see, there are this Monica Patel. She made a debut today. She's a medium pacer.
Yeah, I saw her. Her bowling figures were 4 overs done for 20. Were not bad, not good. It was pretty standard.
Yeah.
Goswami took 2 wickets, but they were very much token. They were like with 9 runs to win. You can hardly call them significant wickets at all, quite frankly. And it just seemed to be in the using. I don't quite know what's. Dipti Sharma's only bowled 4 overs. I thought she would bowl more, but I'm not. I think that there's commentary going in the comments here to say that Harmanpreet Kaur should be the captain of Mithali Raj. I actually think it is correct. I do think that, not based on who's been a better player for her whole career, none of that, but it's time that is sorted. And I'm a bit perplexed because I thought Mithali Raj was finished, meaning finished in the positive sense. She retired, but she's retired from one format, not the other. I don't quite get that. I don't know how you could retire from one but the other in a women's game. You can play both. They're not that frequent, so it doesn't make sense that you do from one to the other. So I think there's some captaincy issues, and that destabilises the side. It's like if you got, Virat Kohli and Rahane seem to get along very well, but if they didn't, it would be an issue. And I think there's a lot of clear evidence to say that Harmanpreet Kaur and Mithali Raj do not get along. Is that a fair comment, Guy? Or can't you comment? No, it's okay. I'm not expecting a comment. I'm being very bold because I think it's a problem. And it's been well documented that there seems to be a problem there. And they need
Yeah.
to sort that out. And you can't have one jostling the other.
Mhm.
It's just
Yeah.
not good for any team. And I think there is a problem. I don't know whether you noticed, but in the field, there was distinctly two captains. There were directions going from both of them. Some players would follow one, not the other. And that's hence why they were done for 169 against them. That's my opinion. And it'd be curious to see what happens in general. So yeah, they're saying that she retired from Test in 2014, which is not relevant to this, and retired from T20 in 2020. In fact, she retired from both. I'm confused what the hell's going on there. It's confusing. She's played a long time. She's played almost Tendulkar length of time, more than 20 years. I think that's time. Great player, broke all records, fantastic. But you know, when a player lingers beyond the point where they retire on top, there's always that danger, and I think that's a good example of that. So, Guy, how did you go? Have you played a game yet?
No, I'm still in quarantine. My first match is on 13th.
And
I
who are
will
you
start
playing?
with the tournament from 11th.
Who are you playing? Do you know?
We are playing Meghalaya, the first match.
Right. And how do you
Yeah.
expect your team to go?
Oh, we have got a good squad, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, this tournament. And actually, BCCI has, I mean, it was not expected. I mean, that BCCI will host the tournament. It was very unlikely because of the COVID reasons. But BCCI is holding the domestic tournament very well. I mean, the senior men's, they took T20 tournament and one day tournament as well. And now women's are getting a chance to play. So,
Excellent.
just that we're
Excellent.
looking forward to it.
I think the BCCI are making a really good effort, a concerted effort. They've got the
Yeah.
IPL running. They've allowed tests to be played. They've allowed 50% audiences. They've got the women's cricket going. That's a fantastic sign. It really is. Well, how strict are your COVID precautions, though? You're wearing masks. You stay clear.
Yeah, I
You don't.
mean, yeah, we are kept in a bio bubble. You see, like this first week we are not allowed to leave our rooms, and we have 3 COVID tests in between that every alternate day.
Amazing. Even though you're not
Yeah.
coming across anybody. So do you meet the room service people? Do you not meet anyone?
No, we don't. I mean, all the food and everything, if we need everything, it is just kept outside our door, and we don't meet anyone.
And
It's so strict.
you don't share rooms with other players. You've all got single
No,
rooms.
no. Yeah, single room.
So you're staying up past what 3 a.m. in the morning watching Netflix and all the different
No,
star
no.
movies.
No, actually, we have a routine to follow. I mean, our team management is also doing well. They, I mean, keep us in touch with the team. We have our team sessions going on online. So, yeah, it's going pretty well. And only 3 days are left now. After that, we'll have our practice sessions outdoor.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very good. And we'd like to get, if you can get your team's reaction, if you want to bring them on camera, if your coach allows it. I'm happy to meet the team if you want to.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, maybe someday. Yeah, sure.
Be nice. Be nice to meet you.
They'll be excited. Yeah.
Well, are you telling your team players what are they watching tonight?
No, they did watch the last episode. I mean, I shared the link with them, and they were quite happy.
Mm.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, we can bring, you can bring another one of your colleagues there, or you want to bring the team as a group thing, whatever you like. I mean, I'd love to hear
Yeah.
more about what's happening with Indian teams in your COVID
Yeah.
bubbles, how you're handling it, what you're doing. Do you have a common area where you can do things? Can you play games in a common area in the hotel? Have you got that?
Yes, but first these 7 days we are inside our rooms only. We cannot leave it. But after that, yes, we do have some recreational rooms for that.
Okay.
But we cannot leave the hotel, you know.
With the men's team, they're able to bring families. I'm not saying you've got families to bring, but is there any permission to bring a family member with you on tour now?
No, not in domestic cricket.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting because obviously the best example is Ravi Chandra Ashwin. He actually brought his entire family. That gave him a bit of stability. But depending on how long you're away, that can be emotional, can't it? Pretty, you would agree with that. It'd be quite
His
emotional.
wife, whose name is actually Preeti as well, I think she does a great job. She really runs a tight ship and she manages the family affairs very well. Uh, it helps him, I think. That's like one less thing he needs to worry about. It just seems like it's very seamless. So, because I've listened to her do podcasts and all of that, and she's spoken at length about the kids and managing everything, and it's I think she's been good for him in Australia for sure.
Well, I mean, Ashwin also has his own YouTube channel, not like mine. He's carrying on like this. I'm quite amazed that he does that because I don't see any other players doing it. It's very
I
interesting to
love
see.
it. And by the way, he's extremely intelligent, very deep, intellectual. I have listened to many of his interviews. He also speaks several languages. He also speaks my language as well, which is interesting because he's not from that part of India. But and he interviews other players and he speaks to them in several languages, not English, you know. And for a South Indian to speak such good Hindi is not common, so very impressive.
Because he's actually Tamil, isn't he?
Yes.
So he speaks Tamil, Hindi, English,
Hindi.
or what else?
He speaks Telugu as well, which is from Hyderabad, Andhra, and I don't know if he speaks any Marathi, Gujarati, or anything. I'm sure he's picked up some words, but his Hindi is very good though.
What's your language?
My language is well, I speak 5 languages, and I have
But you said
family
he
in.
speaks your language.
Pardon?
You said he speaks your
Yeah,
language.
the Telugu, which is from Hyderabad. So that's I guess my mother tongue in a way. Yeah.
Telugu. So what are your 5 languages?
English, Hindi, Urdu, Arabic, and Telugu.
I can say some Arabic actually. I'm pretty good at it. I actually
Shoya.
I make it into a song. Do you want to hear my Arabic song? It's quite amusing.
Okay.
If you know the words, this will be interesting. Auntie Gamila, which means what? Auntie Gamila means you're beautiful.
Ah.
Oh.
Ana Bahevik means I love you. And I'm not directing at anyone, I'm just talking to them. So, and you say Ana Orit at Gawazek means I want to marry you. So they're the 3 things I learned. It's quite funny, yeah. It's very true.
Wow.
Okay, and Garvey, what language did you speak?
I speak Marathi.
Marathi, okay.
Yeah.
And you speak Hindi as well?
Yeah, and Hindi and English, yeah.
I speak English, German, Brazilian Portuguese, and Sinhalese, which is the Sri Lankan language.
Yes.
I had no choice. When you're married to someone from Sri Lanka, you quickly have to learn their language because otherwise you don't understand what they're saying to people. So you learn pretty quickly. All right. Okay, guys, we've had a wonderful session. So we've knocked over the IPL. We know it's from the 9th of April to the 30th of May. Most of the games are not played at home locations. The teams only have 3 movements, but still they're not playing at home, which is a bit disturbing. I guess they'll have COVID restrictions like everybody else. The crowd situation, I don't think it's been worked out fully yet, but seeing what happened in Ahmedabad, where they had half-full stadiums, I'm pretty sure they'll get the same conditions. But every state is different, Gargi, isn't it? Every state is different at the moment in the way the
Yeah,
COVID
actually, yeah. I guess it will be played behind closed doors. The league stage of IPL will be played behind closed doors.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay. So with the test match, well done, India. The IPL will follow, but the test match certainly has been strong both in Australia and, of course, in India. But we mustn't forget England didn't do badly because they won 3 matches out of 6.
Yes.
They won the 2 in Sri Lanka and the first one in India. they lost the last record. So they had a pretty reasonable effort too.
Mhm.
And of course, the T20 and ODIs, I think they'll be a lot closer in the ODIs. T20s might be a bit more of a slaughter to win the We'll wait to see. So, Gargi, have you got any thoughts? What are you wearing today? Are you cold? Is it cold where you are? Or the air conditioning is?
No, I'm just
Is
wearing a t-shirt.
that your team
So it's
jacket?
not that warm.
Well, okay. All right. So thank you for your time, guys. It's been nice to have you. I didn't expect to have this, but we're glad we did. But we'll have a regular program, I think, at 10:30, which is my time, around the 5 p.m. mark most days. Anyway, so guys, well, our regulars are here, I know. Some spammers joined us too. But the reality is, yeah, some trolls, you want to call them. They did nothing but just get themselves blocked. So the reality is we'll have regular sessions. I hope you'll join us. I've posted some very interesting posts on the history of cricket with an 1868 team with an Aboriginal fellow called Johnny Muller. Quite an incredible story, actually. The Johnny Muller Award, the Muller Medal, sorry, is actually with Ajinka Rahane. Now, Chris Vernon's put something on Twitter. Surely you look too nice for all the abuse I get in the comments. We'll have to chat with you. Crypto sometime. Recently purchased some ETH. No idea what he's talking about. All right. There must be some stock that he's bought. So yeah, thanks guys. I really appreciate it. We've had good numbers. So anything last, Gargi, you want to say any parting words? Did you want to say hello to your mum or something like that? Or is she watching?
Yeah, she'll be watching. I'll be sharing my link with her. Yeah. And thanks for having me on this show. Actually, I had great fun being on the show last time and this time also. And all thanks to you. I mean, I got to share the screen with such legends and Adam Hollyoak, sir. So, yeah.
And there's many more to come. Don't worry. There's plenty more to come.
Yeah, surely. Yeah, looking forward to it, definitely.
You're enjoying the WhatsApp group too, aren't you? There's a lot of interesting people on that. So
yes, I know.
We won't talk about that. But okay, so and Pretty, you're
just
going
very off. Sorry, just very excited about the upcoming ODIs, the T20s, the IPL, the test finals. So it's like a packed few months of cricket. So this is really, really great for the fans. Very, very exciting. And I just think everyone's going to enjoy it so much. And I think it's really good, definitely very good for India for sure. And I'm glad the IPL is happening regardless. And, life goes on. So good.
14th season is quite amazing, isn't it? Amazing. So, and we're waiting for that copy of the Viv Richards interview too. We'd like to see that. I don't know. I should have it by now. All right. Thanks, guys. Just quickly, though, what was those questions I just saw?
Any questions for us?
Tarun says, nice to be live. That's good. I like your show a lot. That's nice. Amit, you're a nice person, of course. So there was something I was going to say. I'm expecting the entire team that you play for, Gargi, to be subscribed to this particular. I'm going to be asking them all. I'm going to check their names against who you show me. And if they're not subscribed, I'm in a big trouble.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, guys. Thanks again. I'll say goodbye to you both, Pretty and Gargi, and goodbye to our viewers. Norman Kochnak, Namaste. Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnak. I'm actually going to produce a website called Eyes on Cricket, so we're going to be putting updates on that. None like cricket info, which is going to help with a lot of things. That means I can get people accredited with me as well, for media relationships, which is good. So we'll go from there. So I really appreciate your time. So we'll say goodnight from Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnak. Make sure you view, like, and share the post. Get the entire team of Gargis to subscribe and all their friends, and the channel will grow accordingly. Okay. Thank you for your time, lovely ladies. All the best.
Thank you.